Adonis, come here. Yeah, soon is insulin time. Soon you get your glucose test. So people tell me all the time, you're so lucky, Adonis is so easy. And yes, Adonis and I have a very special relationship. But easy, he was not easy at the start. Did you just drink my water? Those comments, while they're flattering to Adonis, they also worry me because it implies somebody sitting at home with a newly diagnosed diabetic kitty, quietly thinking, I could never do this with my kitty. In case you're new to the channel, we've been at this journey for 3 years now. And Adonis became easy because we trained the routine before expecting him to tolerate the full procedure. So the difference between a kitty that fights a glucometer and a kitty who tolerates it, it's not luck. It's a missing step. Today we talk about desensitization. And to not keep this word that's a mouthful for me, I'm just gonna call it to make it easy. When learning to test glucose at home, skipping this step is one of the biggest mistakes people do without even realizing it. Happens from being overwhelmed, scared, trying to manage a diagnosis that we were not even prepared for. This invisible step can make the difference between a routine that becomes smooth and sustainable and a routine that becomes a daily nightmare. For anyone completely new here, home glucose testing is the optimal way to manage feline diabetes safely day by day. That glucose number helps you make safer decisions around insulin, food, and possible emergencies. You aren't just testing blood sugars. You're designing a sustainable, stress-free routine that you might need to live with for many years. If you need to know the mechanics and more technical information, start there. This video goes one step before the how, because for your cat to accept easily the poke, they need to accept the routine. Before your kitty was diagnosed, your duty was simply to keep them safe, provide a home for just the fun and easy needs, playing, cuddles, and feeding. And any medical needs would happen only at the vet. Needles, medication, someone else did that. Then diabetes enters the room.
Cat has diabetes?
Suddenly, keeping your cat safe meant giving injections twice a day, testing the glucose always before giving insulin, and mid-cycle. That can be a lot for most of us. We don't want to hurt them, so we need to take a blood sample. And even if it's small, making them bleed was never ever a thing that we would need to do to keep them safe. So we face a contradiction of emotions here. And this is exactly why desensitization is a step cat parents cannot skip. You need to know you're not violating that trust by taking a glucose test. You're honoring that trust by keeping them safe. But I'm aware, just knowing that won't be enough for most of us to make the training easy in the beginning. When you're hit with a newly feline diabetes diagnosis, you're not just learning new medical routines. Underneath all the practical questions, there is the constant fear of losing them, with all very valid feelings: fear, sadness, stress, and anger. And sometimes this diagnosis doesn't happen on a clean chapter of your life. Sometimes it happens while work is stressful, while money is tight, maybe someone else is already sick. You might already be dealing with more. Life doesn't pause, so we can learn about feline diabetes calmly. So while you're dealing with all of these overwhelming feelings, you might not even realize it, but you could be already grieving your old routine. And even if testing has gotten easy for us and fun for Adonis, and he might even want too many tests often, I still miss those days I did not have that many responsibilities. For me, diabetes happened in one of the hardest times of my life. And while I was going through that, I had to learn to do all of this so Adonis will recover and thrive. It was not an easy task. And as you try to learn through the storm, you'll notice desensitization is always briefly mentioned in glucose testing tutorials. But because it's such an easy and quick step, it's common that it gets pushed to the side without getting the weight, attention, and patience it actually deserves. So we need to remove the fear from the room, not only from them, but also ours. Cats can read their energy and nervous systems fast. If you approach your kitty acting like you're gonna commit a crime, you'll be treated like a criminal. And one thing that helped me directly is to know their ears don't hurt as ours do. The edge of the ear has only a few nerve endings. That's why vets advise for using it as the standard glucose testing spot. Of course, everybody's afraid when they see our videos and they say, "Wow, you're testing on the ear. His ear must be like cheese." And if Adonis was afraid of glucose testing, this channel wouldn't even exist. And honestly, if you ask him today, liquid medication is a lot worse than needles and pills and all. It's all just training. I think that if we had to give him liquid medication on a daily basis, at the end, he might not be so dramatic about it. So if your biggest fear right now is, I'm gonna hurt my cat, I get it. That fear is proof that you care, but it cannot be the energy leading the test. When I first started training Adonis, my anxiety was so high, I was shaking. So I came up with a quick anxiety cycle breaker. I would eat a cookie right before testing. That was my tiny hack. It gave my brain a dopamine hit. And I made sure to wash my hands before testing. And then I will turn on calming music for cats. Then I will just sit next to him, on the couch, on the bed, wherever he already was, and not show him my intention to test. I was just reading a book, working on my laptop, watching TV, just hanging out with him. So no closed doors, no cornering, no burrito wrap. For him, these are reminders of what happens at the bed. So I try to keep these routines as stress-free as possible. Before asking anything from your kitty, settle yourself into the room. Find your own calming hack. A cookie, meditation, maybe a playlist. Just a few minutes of sitting there, acting like nothing dramatic is going to happen. Because at the end of the day, this should not be something dramatic. If I was going to test Annabelle, this is how I would start. She comes here and I would just sit here and hang out with her. I know that with her, the testing would take a little longer. She's a lot harder than Adonis. The things that at diagnosis, when they're feeling their worst and they know that you will help them always feel better. When they're hungry, you feed them. When they're feeling sad, you cuddle them. So if at diagnosis, you bring in this routine and they start to notice that the insulin helps them, they also will be more open to accept this routine. And maybe if you don't have the routine and you've had a diabetes journey that has been a little bit dramatic, perhaps from not knowing what glucose your cat is having and giving insulin, or even if you're doing the medication, they would also feel like there's a roller coaster inside of their body. And if they notice that from the moment that you start testing, they start to feel better, they'll trust this routine more. So before you pick up the testing kit, this is the work, the emotional and environmental preparation for the trust building. And it's also not a step that you should wait to succeed on before doing a glucose test. If you're giving insulin, you do whatever you need to do to get that glucose test. And as we practice this more, you'll only get more confident with this. So in the next video, I'll walk you through the exact desensitization roadmap we use with Adonis. I also think that learning this should help you with any new medical routine. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave us your comments. See you on the next video. See you. Testy. There. That's okay. That's okay. Yeah. That's okay. Good kitty.